So we're going to continue with the idea of climate change, and want you to know James Blog. He is a photographer, and he is one that has actually been kind of chronicling what's happening in some of these areas. And what he did is he actually started a place called Earth Vision Trust. It has a website you can go to, but the idea here is he's trying to take pictures of the changes that we're seeing. And again, this is, short-term changes, obviously, in his lifetime. But what I like about him is he was a skeptic, and he actually admits that. And he realizes now that he needs to make an effort. He's trying to be a person of principle. So very, very good. All right, so consequences of warming atmosphere. And here's the list, and I don't know if I need to definitely go through all the list. But we're talking flooding. We mentioned that earlier on our coast in Florida. New Orleans will have issues. We're talking more severe drought. That's probably really what's going to happen in California. We always talk about being in drought. I think that's going to be a constant. More heat waves. It seems like, as we sit here at 90 and 100-degree temperature. That's going to happen more and more. We're going to have bigger storms back east, more hurricanes. We've had record hurricane systems coming through. Not maybe the size, although some of the sizes, but the amount of hurricanes we're having. I don't know if you pay attention, but they named them with the letter of the alphabet, and now they have moved into the Greek alphabet because they've had so many this year. Forest fires. I don't even know if I have to say anything about that with here in, the biggest fire we've ever had in California, the most acres ever burned, 4 million acres or something, just out of control. We grow food in the central California, but if that becomes highly drought, we're going to have water issues, more water issues than we have now. We're already losing biodiversity, another threat. And it's going to be an economic threat. When everybody starts lacking, societies fall apart. So we need to make a difference. We need to make some changes. And so our next Vogel principle is 38, number 4. Amplitude of tolerance is the range of the environmental conditions a species can withstand. And so what can we withstand? Now, again, from the previous one about weather and climate, we have kind of removed ourselves. We have air conditioning. I'm sitting in front of a fan as I do this. But reality is there is this tolerance level. And if we exceed that, lots of species are going to disappear. They can't adapt quick enough to these huge changes. And when they go, we will follow. So we really need to start paying attention. And one that kind of goes along with this, Vogel Principle 66, number 18, within optimal ranges, biological activities tend to increase with increases in temperature. And so things happen faster and faster within our bodies, growth of bacteria, growth of viruses. So you might start seeing more pandemics. I can't imagine living through something worse than this. Hopefully we won't have to. But it is important for us to get a handle on this very, very large, very, very important topic. So there's really two things we can do: mitigation or adaptation. Mitigation is to try to slow the effects, and that's really where we should be now. There is still time. Or adaptation, which basically means is we're not going to have enough time, so we need to start thinking differently on how we deal with these problems. That these problems are going to be around, and we need to start thinking today on how we can adapt to these new challenges. Mitigation is really where I would see us, hopefully. Unfortunately, I think adaptation is maybe where we're going to be pushed to. We're going to have to do one of the two. The adapting may be a lot harder, especially if we don't try to slow down the effects. All right, and then the tipping point. This is something I've always kind of talked about. Tipping points happen is when you get enough of something, it kind of accelerates something to the point of no return. And so you can see the ball on top of the hill. The tipping point is once it goes down, you're really not going to stop it. global change, we talked about how many people, 5 to 10%, that would be a tipping point. And what I want you to do is we have you doing an activity. I want you to compare the parts per million of CO2 to today compared to our tipping point. And our tipping point is 450 parts per million. That is the guess, and it is a guess, of what we can take. So once we hit that 450, it's going to be kind of the point of no return. We're going to have such warming that stopping it then at this point might be a problem. So all of these things can happen. This picture shows a lot of them, not all of them. But we're losing coral reefs. The Gulf Stream will collapse, which is where we get our weather patterns. Our oceans are becoming very acidic. We're losing ice sheets. We're losing the Antarctic and the Greenland. And so, yeah, life as we know it is going to be quite a bit different if we are not careful, especially if we hit that 450 mark. So I want you to know that number. And we will stop the recording.